Do you remember the first time you were promoted and suddenly you find yourself doing two jobs? Your new job and your old job?
I certainly do.
I bet you did.
Yes, I remember one day running from a COE meeting, then being pulled aside to a BU strategy meeting, and then I was up all night to do the strategy deck because I didn't know who in the team I could delegate to. It felt like, I used to master this. Like, how does leading the work feel so different?
Exactly. And that is the topic for today. Delegating. It's one of the hardest things to do when you're a first-time manager. And I asked our audience actually on LinkedIn what they found most challenging when they were a first-time manager. And delegating was one of the things that came up one of the highest because it's so hard, right? Because it's about actually how do I delegate without losing control?
Well, it's kind of, you get promoted because you're really good at your job often, right? Yeah. And it's not just about control. I think it's also about passion. Like you poured years into becoming good at something and then suddenly you're going to let someone else do it. Like it feels a little bit.
And sometimes they do it in a different way or sometimes they do it. There's also a little bit of fear they might do it better than you, right? And that is a bit about this losing control, but also letting go of your identity.
But why can't we just continue doing it?
What do you mean?
Doing it yourself.
Or your job. Like, there's only 24 hours in the day. You don't want to do everyone's job. You've got a team to do it. And you were promoted because you need to do a job. And that job is not anymore being the expert. It's about bringing the team together and empower the team, right?
So let's continue with that thought that I continue doing it myself. What happens? I mean, the team gets disempowered, obviously.
Yeah, but you're getting overwhelmed because you've got so much to do. Like, how did you feel when you were in that leadership role and you were doing the BU strategy and then suddenly the board meeting and like...
No, honestly, I was exhausted the day after, right? Because I was up all night prepping the strategy deck. So I was not my best self the day after.
Why would you do that?
Well, the point is that it's not that you only that you get tired. It's like you become the bottleneck, right?
Yeah,
so you become the ceiling for growth for
exactly. And every decision is hanging on you because it feels like your team can trust, or you don't have the trust in the team to make the decisions because you do everything yourself.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you can delegate and you can delegate badly.
Yeah. You can, you end up micromanaging, right? In the end of the day. If you want to check everything, every comma, every semicolon, every T and every, you know what I mean? You're making a lot of people unhappy in your team. And we talked about empowerment, but also undermining their competency because they obviously are in that role because they're doing a really great job, right?
Yeah. But as the good news is, as many other things when it comes to leadership, delegation is a skill you can build, right? Yeah. So, and we're going to talk about a simple playbook to use to delegate.
Yeah. And it's actually a little bit of a shift, right? The value isn't doing actually the work, but it's creating the condition for your team so you enable them to do the work for you and for others to succeed.
Absolutely. And I think maybe we've used this phrase in a different podcast. I don't know. But good leaders, they don't do all the work. Good leaders build great teams that get the work done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And think of it like situational leadership. The whole idea is that there isn't one exactly right way to do it. So if you're giving the task to someone that you used to do and they suddenly do it in another way, then it might feel like, oh, why are they not doing it the way that I used to do it? And it might feel really awkward, but that is what delegating is about. They are doing it in a different way. Doesn't mean it's a bad way.
Exactly. And I mean, we're talking about situational leadership as well as a kind of a way to delegate. So there's not one right way to lead or to delegate or to communicate.
Many ways lead to Rome.
Exactly. But it depends on someone's competence and motivation for the tasks that you're trying to delegate, right? And there are 4 approaches to that.
Yeah. And actually, I want to take my iPad out.
Okay.
Draw that quickly out because it's one of my favorite tools. It's the skill will matrix, or you might call it empowerment framework. And yeah, I want to just very quickly actually record that when I get the chance to start that broadcast because I want the audience to see that.
Absolutely. That's such a great idea that we get that visualized, because it's so easy to follow, right?
Yeah.
When you're going to delegate as well.
Absolutely. So basically we've got a grid, right? Or what do you call it? Not grid, graph.
A graph, an XY graph.
XY
and you have
graph,
competence,
which is
on one side.
I need to write nicely now. Competence.
And then you have motivation.
Motivation.
On the other side. So let's start with the first kind of, we call it square within the graph. So that's what we call directive. So that's when someone's really motivated to do the task, but they don't yet have the competence. So they're high on motivation, but they're low on competence.
Let me do this. Build a little cross there so it's clear that competency is here low and here high. And then you said directive is where motivation is high, but the competence is really low.
Exactly.
So we put directive in here.
Yes. So what you should probably do as a leader is to set out what, how, why, when, and where.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we kind of bring that to life a little bit, if you have a new graduate and he or she, them, is super eager, but they have never written a sales report before.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to give them a little bit of structure, maybe some examples, some deadlines, and then walk them through it step by step.
Like really show them you used to be the expert and tell them a little bit what to do. Obviously with a goal they figure it out later on themselves, but we want to give them we want to build the competence in them.
People don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
But if they have the motivation, that's an excellent starting point.
Yeah. And then we have where they are not very motivated, so motivation is low and not yet competent. So this is basically here in this little thing where we then do a little bit more coaching. And here it's all about really where they need to be learning, and you need to also concentrating on their buy-in. Instead of doing it for them, you really sit down as them and co-design the slides with them, talk them through the flow and build their confidence while teaching the skill basically, right?
Yeah, and it might be like that motivation can have different reasons.
Yeah.
Right? So it might be that, they're avoiding something because they're afraid.
Yeah.
They're nervous, right? So, and that's an excellent opportunity to coach someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Into doing it.
Yeah. So it might not always be the motivation that is a trigger, but low motivation can be disguised as something else.
Yeah, exactly. So the third one is the supporting square, and that's when they're competent, but they're not confident or they're unwilling.
Yes. So motivation is basically
motivation
low, right?
is low, competence is high.
Supporting. I don't know whether people can read my little writing, but I think
I'm sure they can figure it out together with our voices.
Yeah.
But as a leader, to be supportive, step back from the task itself and focus more on encouragement. Check in when they need help.
Yeah.
Basically.
Absolutely. And then what is left over? When motivation is really high and the competence is really high, you don't want to be directive and tell them what to do, right? That is then called micromanaging with a task. But we want to really be delegating the task to them. Delegating, there we go. Because at the end of the day, they are the experts, right? And this is where you want to bring everyone on every task to, right?
Yeah.
You fully trust them to do it, and you're just there for them when you need, and they run into obstacles. And this is where you can make the difference and lean back a little bit as well. And essentially, what we need to consider, though, in all of these frameworks is actually we need to look not at the person as such. Not everyone is good in everything. We need to look what is actually the task. So when we're deciding if we're delegating, if we're directing or supporting, we need to make sure actually what is the task. Because someone, for example, might be really good at doing sales pitches, but they might not really be good at designing the slides. There you might have someone junior who might be really good at it.
Yeah.
but
absolutely.
therefore you delegate it to them. But if they were to do the presentation, the pitch themselves, you might go into a different quadrant. You might be then going more into the directive approach, where you help them have the pitch and coach and be very directive. But at the end of the day, you build up the competence while you're doing it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why we kind of call it situational leadership, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not about the person. It's not about how long they've been in role. It's about the nature of the task that they're going to do and their motivation and skill to do that specific task, right?
Yeah.
And also this changes over time. So a new joiner might need directive approach, in their first month. Maybe they need a coaching approach in month 3. And then maybe after 6, 7, 12 months, they need more delegation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you are, as a manager, are able to switch between those different modes, you're already winning in not micromanaging and also building a team that is not relying just on you.
Yes. And in the end, that's what we want, right?
Yeah.
We want a team that is fantastic and can deliver the work.
Yeah. So this framework is great, but there are also obviously some traps that we can fall into.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the traps.
I do want to talk about the traps, but I also want to mention that if you try something and it doesn't work, don't change your style, not your standards, right?
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, actually, and I haven't considered that necessarily. You don't have to kind of put up with poor work, right?
No.
You just need to change how you might approach leading the person, because they might not really be good with directing, but they need coaching. Yeah. So there we are.
And that's also where the feedback loop comes in. Ask for feedback from your team. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Traps.
But should we make this practical first and use some specific examples? Like I can test you and see if you get it right, or your recommendation?
Yeah, you can. I mean, we've gone through some of the examples, but we can.
But you have a high stakes sales report that needs to be delivered. Yeah. And your instinct is to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But you got 2 team members.
Yeah.
One is super eager and motivated, but he doesn't have the competence to do it. The other one is super competent, but not motivated to take it on.
Okay.
So
this is like a test.
This is definitely a test. So the first one, high motivation, low competence.
Yeah. Let me just get that up for everyone to see. So high motivation, low competence. That would be for me. Sorry, what was it? High
directive.
Psh. No, it was high motivation and low competence. So yeah, directive.
Yes, absolutely. So you could say something like, I'll walk you through the structure this time. I'll draft the first section and then you'll draft it from there. We'll review it together, right? So clear guidance to learn the ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not fully with you because I don't
Good.
multitask. Because multitask, another thing, is not possible because there is a big myth out there that women can multitask. I'm not one of them. Right.
Well, the next one.
Okay, I'm listening now.
So the next one does not have the competence.
Yes.
Well,
low competence.
High competence. No motivation.
Low motivation, yeah. So that is when you coach them more. And it's not coaching about them asking questions how to do this, but you also go into how can you help them get motivated to do that job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, coaching.
Yes.
Nice.
Traps?
Yes, I mean, traps. Can I stop the recording now?
You can stop the recording.
Amazing.
And we'll make,
Brilliant. I'll put this away. So I'm fully with you.
Yes. So I mean, what some of the things we already kind of discussed. So inexperienced managers, they often kind of want to do it themselves.
Yeah, they do. But then they end up like you, completely exhausted like you did in the first example.
I learned quite quickly that I had to delegate though.
Yeah. And you are really good at it. Obviously being on the other end of that.
Learned the hard way.
I think inexperienced managers think that often I'm just being more efficient and more faster than I do. They don't take the time to sit down and explain it to someone what they need to do or decide what style they have to do. And I think this is one of the traps that new managers can fall into quite easily, because also it feels a little bit unnatural to tell someone else what to do what you could do yourself because you've done it before, right? And I used to have a client who really had problems and keep fixing the team's presentations late at night. First, they were like, she was exhausted, but also, but that is not you. That wasn't you, by the way. But it's also, you take it away from your team to make mistakes, to learn from it as well. The fix is, you can use something that is called the delegation ladder. And this is kind of like, similar like you explained earlier in the example when we had the situational leadership. It's like, first they observe, then they try it with you, and then they do it yourself, and you debrief it with them, and they use this debrief or reflection or whatever you want to call it to learn from it and improve.
I like that.
Yeah, and then they own it, basically.
Yeah. I should have known that.
You should.
When I was a new manager.
Well, to be fair, I think you did it always quite naturally. Well, at least, sorry, always. I say that always.
Not always. I learned.
Yeah.
I've been up
but since
quite a
I've
few
known
nights to
you
do
since...
stuff. But yeah, I mean, you kind of, you learn as you go, right? But yeah, trap number 2 is they won't do it as well as me.
Yeah.
And we've kind of touched on this, and it might be true, but if they never do it, they never learn, right? So the fix?
Yeah, I think it's about redefining what success looks like. It's the success is not doing it the exact way that you need, like that you used to do it, but the success is about progress. Do you see your colleagues or your employees or your team members getting better at it, or are they maybe even coming out with a better outcome? And it's also a little bit the fix is letting go.
Oh, absolutely.
You are the only one who knows how to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Perfection is often kind of like in the same in the same remit. If you are a perfectionist, you want it a certain way. So sometimes progress is better than perfection.
Definitely. 80%. Good to go.
Yes.
Yes. And trap number 3.
It's about unclear expectations, right? You throw something over the fence and say like, oh, I just need the presentation, and then leave it at that. But at the end of the day, they often have any clue what presentation and what do you want in the presentation?
I've received so many emails like, can you just take this on? And then I just have to send an email back. What exactly do you need? When do you need it by? What is it for?
Yeah.
And then you have all of this like back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. And that is ineffective, but also it's quite frustrating because you feel like, should I have known if I like what to do? Is it me or is it them? So be clear, as you said, like ask for all those things, especially if it's with working with more junior team members as well, right? One of the other things that I come across with a lot of leaders, I see like, I feel very guilty for asking
I've said
others
that.
what to do. Yeah,
I've actually said that to my manager, and you know what my manager said?
Yeah,
guilt is not your job.
No,
your job is to grow capability. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I haven't really thought about it that way.
so it wasn't in your job description. But
It was
probably never saw.
not. No, but it's like sometimes, and I've heard that from several leaders as well. It's like they feel bad because they're putting more on their team.
Especially in these times, right, where
Yeah.
people are getting asked to do more things with less resources. You feel like, oh, can I? What is essentially dripping over the bucket or overflowing the bucket?
Yeah. But my manager gave me a really, really good advice. So what she said is that, you know, Camilla, sometimes it actually means letting the team struggle
Yeah,
and maybe even fail so they learn.
Yeah.
Because if you're always there to fix it, where's the progress? Where's the learning curve, right?
yeah, and I think we shouldn't confuse kind of like being passionate about with being indispensable. Yes, you can be passionate about a subject. Doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself, because as you said in the beginning, the more you hold on, the more you are the bottleneck for the organization, for decisions, and for the team, essentially.
Exactly. And delegation is an act of trust, right? And trust is what builds a team that can run on its own.
Yeah.
Without you, because a team should be able to run without its leader.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually what I coach a lot of the teams about, right? It's not if the leader is going in front of bus or suddenly can't, or is suddenly put into another team, which is often what we had, right? You want the team
if they win the lottery, Catherine. If they win the lottery.
Yeah,
yes.
Sorry, I'm more crass in that moment. Yeah. So shall we give our audience and listeners a challenge? Because I feel without a challenge, this is not the leadership effect.
Yes, definitely. So for this week, please pick a task that you normally would keep, hand it over to someone else, be very clear on the what, the why, the what, the when, and stick to the agreed check-ins. Like, don't micromanage them.
Yeah, and really notice how it feels. How does it feel letting go? Is there discomfort? And if there is discomfort, I would say it's a good thing, because it means it's growth for you and it's also growth for them. And
yes,
yeah, that's, I would say, if you feel discomfort or uncomfortable, you've managed that really pretty well.
Yes, because great leaders, they don't prove they can do it all. They prove that they can make others great.
Yeah, and that's delegation done right. And
absolutely.
That's it for today's episode on the leadership effect.
If you found this helpful, subscribe, share it with other leaders, and connect with us on LinkedIn.
Yes, and keep leading with curiosity
and courage.
Yes.